stay a while and listen.
And welcome to Agony of Positivity Podcast. I am Ross, joined today by...
Saul Man.
Yes, we have returned from Sturgis, where we arrived at the very end of the show last week. Hopefully we do not travel back to Sturgis. Essentially, the neighbors had a motorcycle that needed to... kind of like when you get the tongs out for your barbecue, and you gotta click them a couple times to make sure they don't self-destruct. Sometimes you just gotta sit in the backyard and just rev your motorcycle up and not drive it anywhere. So apparently that's what was going on. But what can you do? So how's your week been?
It's been good. Been listening to a lot of podcasts.
Such as anything that you're like, this is the greatest podcast I've ever heard.
I mean, the Unashamed podcast with the guys from Duck Dynasty is pretty good.
Okay.
It's a little religious, so if you're not into that kind of thing, you're not probably gonna like it. But Chris Jericho.
Right.
There's a couple of podcasts that, my God, I mean, I'm not against cussing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't listen to them because they're just like every F. I'm like, okay, there's other words in the human vocabulary than the F word.
Well, it is in the wrestling world. It's like a super kick or a Canadian destroyer. Once you see it a ton, it has no meaning.
Yes.
And the same thing happens with profanity, where like if you use it all the time, it's just another filler word or an adjective or whatever. So
yeah.
Like, if all of a sudden we were to cuss up a storm about something on this, if you've listened regularly, you'd be like, man, something's really going on for them to be that verbal about it, because we try not to do that. Also, it's just, you can listen to it wherever and not be like, I just hope this podcast doesn't start talking about the horrible things they're going to do to someone's mother to teach them a lesson.
Yes.
Which apparently is a thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I have listened to podcasts on my way to work, and then I have gone to work and sweated, and then...
I know all about sweating
part. My main driving force this week has been to try to eat Arby's and fail every day. So after recording today, I think I'm going to Costco, and then I'm getting regular roast beef with cheddar.
Okay.
It's going to be awesome.
So you're going to make it yourself then?
Oh, no. I'm still going to Arby's. I'm not...
Gotcha.
Now I can't get, so I worked at Arby's for quite a few years in the late part of 99 to 2000s. I cannot replicate their melted cheddar cheese that has the slight metallic taste due to the can that it sits in. Much like McDonald's chicken nuggets have their very own unique taste that is neither chicken or nugget. It's just a McDonald's chicken nugget taste. Same thing with Arby's cheddar that's melted.
I like the metallic flavor.
It's what adds to it. You ever take like tinfoil and chew on it when you were little because you like the metallic taste?
No.
Yeah. Me neither. That would be really, really weird, huh? So let's get to our first. No, I used to really like the taste of metal stuff.
There might be something to that because I think Coca-Cola out of a can tastes better than in a plastic bottle.
They changed their recipe recently, supposedly.
Oh, really?
We had got it once, and my wife was complaining that the Coke did not taste right. Yeah. And I'm a Pepsi guy, so I don't really pay that much attention to Coke. But I did kind of notice there was something a little bit off with the flavor. And she looked into it, and I guess they made like some subtle change to it, but you can tell. And then I immediately thought, didn't they learn a lesson from New Coke, if this is true, that you should not mess with it?
So you're a Pepsi guy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I have like an IQ that's above room temperature, so.
Well, no, so I mean, so there's a reason I'm asking this. So, do you have like in your refrigerator? Do you guys keep cans of pop in there?
I mean, if we get pop, it would go in the refrigerator. Yes.
Oh, okay, so would you do like Pepsi section and a Coke section, or does it
Yeah,
like
they
that?
can. If I have both. Now, when I say I'm a Pepsi guy, I'm not like if am driving down the road and see someone with a can of Coke, I'm not going to swerve to hit them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't need to chain like short of like you or like my wife or somebody that I know pretty well. I'll give them a hard time over it.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I see a stranger drinking a Coke, I'm not going to go up to him and be like, "Would you like to hear about my Lord and Savior Pepsi and how much better it is than your Coca-Cola?" And
Yeah,
if I go to a restaurant and I'm like, "Could I get Pepsi?" and they're like, "Is Coke okay?" I'm not going to go into a filibuster to take away the server's life for 2 hours about why Pepsi is a drink that they should have. Like, I don't care that much. I'll drink either one, but if I have a choice, 95% of the time, I'll take Pepsi. There are
gotcha. Okay.
certain foods Coca-Cola absolutely goes better with than Pepsi, even though it's like
Yes.
very subtle. Just like there's certain things that, root beer is a good soda. But I'm not going to drink root beer exclusively. There's just certain times where you're like, I'd really like a root beer. To me, that's
Yeah,
more
that's
how
true.
Coke is.
Yeah. I know because I grew up like grandparents. That's all they had in their refrigerator was Pepsi. So anytime I went over to their house, like stay the night on the weekends,
Yeah,
I would drink Pepsi. But then I would come home because my mom was a huge Coke person,
yeah,
so we always had Coca Cola in the refrigerator. So yeah, I
now,
mean, there's definitely a different taste.
yeah. Now, when you say a
Uh,
Coke person,
yeah.
was the kitchen decorated in Coca-Cola merchandise?
No, my
Okay,
no. She just liked to drink the Coca Cola. She
okay.
didn't like to decorate her
I
house.
had a friend. I actually was roommates with him, but I remember one time I went over with him to his parents' house, and like everything in the kitchen had a Coca-Cola label, even the
Oh yeah.
dishwasher.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't see him that kind of passion. I mean,
Over
I like.
a soda of a drink.
Well, I mean, if anything, because I mean, let's just say AEW. I like watching AEW. I'm not going to decorate my whole entire house and my clothing in AEW stuff. It's just
What if
weird.
I could get you a refrigerator, and when you opened it up, it just said, "Boom! There
Canadian
goes the
Destroyer.
dynamite," and it threw chalk dust everywhere.
No, I would not want that. I thought you were going to say like Canadian Destroyer me or something.
No, that'd be no. We're not at that point yet, but all right. So yeah, but no, I don't. Trying to think like people are kind of that way with Monster Energy drink, where you'll see
Yeah,
people wearing like the stuff. But I've owned like a Pepsi shirt and a Coke shirt or a Mountain Dew shirt or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not like militant about my Pepsi versus Coke.
Well, that's good.
And if you are, what is going on in your life? Find us on Twitter and tell us why you're militant about Pepsi versus Coke, because
Or I'm
I'd like
militant
to know.
about any food or well, militant about anything really, but especially when it comes to food. Yes.
Food, the one thing I will go to bat and argue with on food currently, grape jelly and a jelly donut is an abomination. And I have very strong feelings about that, more than is probably healthy. So,
Well, I thought you had strong feelings about the scream eggs too.
I mean, I just really like those.
Gotcha.
Like, that's not like what you're doing is wrong. It's, oh, I wish they had all 4 seasons so I could get Cadbury eggs year round
Gotcha.
without buying them from the trunk of Pablo's car.
You
I just
know,
picked the name at random.
I bought you some Cadbury eggs for Easter.
Yes.
Then the pandemic happened,
Yes.
so
They're still good.
They were in my house for the longest time, but then I ate them. So,
I mean, I don't blame you for eating them. I would have held out for like a day and be like, sorry, Saul.
yeah. So anyway, let's
All
get
right.
down to our what we want to talk about today.
Yes. So let's start. There's going to be a lot of stuff, so this might be a long show. We're going to try to sacrifice time out of wrestling this week because there's probably too much wrestling to really talk about.
Sure.
Because we have like 2 shows of dynamite. We got people trying to sabotage the Thunderdome. We got poor Keith Lee. But we're going to go into entertainment stuff here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to use this one because it's very relevant.
Maybe I could move the Earth out of the way.
If we had a week, I couldn't list all the reasons that would.
King Shark is a shark.
Not the beast!
Let's rock.
So since we have, because this combines two things, in the bumper I have the King Shark is a shark. Since Samoa Joe is doing the voice of King Shark, do you think we could get Samoa Joe to be like Samoa Joe is a Joe? So that we could put that in the wrestling intro, because that'd be fantastic.
I don't know. We could always send him a
Cameo?
a DM.
Does he do cameo? We could just pay him. Like, I don't have a problem giving him $25 to say that, so I can put it in a bumper. That'd be awesome.
Sure.
So DC did, because we touched on DC, but holy crap.
So before we start, some sad news. Chadwick Boseman,
Yes.
the guy that played Black Panther, died last night, which is kind of, it's sad when anyone dies. But,
Yeah.
He really killed that part really good.
Yeah, he was really good. I was kind of aware that he was sick.
Yeah,
I did not realize how sick.
Yeah.
It was stage 4. Was it I should have it pulled up, but it was basically cancer.
It was colon.
Colon cancer. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was colon or pancreatic, but either way, because he was, I would have to assume, not in the best way, but he was still doing like the Make-A-Wish type thing, like visiting kids and stuff in hospitals and all that stuff. So, someone who's, from what I can tell, was a really, really good guy. It's unfortunate that he passed away and probably had a rough go at the end.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, and also, like you said, he nailed that role to where you're like, yeah, made Black Panther pretty cool.
Sure.
I wonder if they'll take their time to reboot that or what they'll do with it.
Well, it looks like because everyone has an opinion because it's Twitter.
Right.
I guess people are saying you should not do it. Recast it. Just let Black Panther be. And I'm like, I like Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah.
And he killed that part too. But they're such cool characters. You can't. Let someone else get a go at it.
Right. Well, they took Black Panther. They made a pretty cool story out of it, and it's set up. Now, I definitely think, be pretty selective and maybe let a little more time pass than you would have just for that. And then, I would say have someone do a slightly different take on it, but the Black Panther is not really like the Joker, where, sometimes the Joker is a homicidal murderer, sometimes he just wants to steal a bunch of money, other times he's, like, doing Cobra Commander schemes that make no sense. Black Panther was from the little bit that I read in the comics, pretty standard character. So it might be harder to do a different take, but I would agree that I could see the argument that just let that be the end of it because he nailed it, and as a tribute for him, for someone who was a good person. I also see though, we have this awesome character now. Let's not let this character die.
Sure.
So, whatever way they decide they want to go, but I would be curious if anyone had ever asked him, because unfortunately, he probably knew he was going to pass. If he actually had an opinion on it, like, no, keep making him this silly, or whatever. But yeah, because I had got the message. I didn't know that guy's. I don't know any actor or actress's name for the most part. So I saw something that someone died, and I was like, I'm not 100% sure. And then I saw the picture, and it's like, oh, okay, I know who that is. But off the name, like, there's very few people that I recognize immediately. So,
So anyway,
But yeah, so
not
that's
to derail.
yeah, no, that's it's a good thing to mention. I wasn't even thinking about it. Like I was reading about it all last night, finding out about how sick he was and all that stuff. So, but I was more amazed him still making like the hospital visits and stuff because
sure
that has to be really rough, like just mentally and everything else. But all right, so let's get into I guess more uplifting stuff.
Yes,
it is DC Comics. So it could very well be, depending on your take, a more depressing thing.
Yes.
Whereas his suffering is over, those of us who watch DC, the suffering could just be beginning. So, where would you like to start? Because right now we're looking at fandom.com, and we basically got to like the DC section. So if you do fandom.com/topics/DC.
So, what do you think about The Rock being Black Adam, right?
Hold on, I'm scrolling down because there's a picture, I think. Somewhere. I saw a picture and he looks awesome. I don't know enough about the character to have like a really strong opinion. Like a Batman villain, I can have an opinion. Like I have strong opinions on whatever they do. But when it comes to like some of these characters I'm not familiar with, I just don't know. The artwork I saw for it, though, hold on, is this under the movies section here? Is that where I saw the picture?
Maybe.
Yeah, there's an official teaser trailer, and it's him with the yellow eyes and everything. Looks awesome, but I don't know. Like The Rock seems like a super likable guy, so
yeah.
What do you think?
Because Black Adam is a bad guy, right?
That is my understanding. I thought he was like a Shazam type character, but bad.
Yeah. So he's like the opposite of Shazam, as far as the good part, I guess. Or like I said, I know very little about the character, but the only thing I can say about it is, have you seen the Shazam movie?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I'm going to be like no help for some of this stuff because I basically don't watch DC live action stuff hardly ever now. So,
gotcha. So the Shazam movie was good. I thought a little bit too comical. When you see Black Adam here,
yeah.
I think The Rock just being that character is going to when they actually do meet each other to fight each other. I think The Rock is going to kind of overshadow him.
Oh yeah. Well, so from the notes here, because again, we're just doing this on the fly, and it's a character I'm not familiar with. But so Johnson noted that Black Adam will include the character's past as a slave, and that he will be presented as judge, jury, and executioner. Believes in eye for an eye. He'll do everything he can to protect his people, and more so his family. While a regular superhero may practice restraint, Black Adam does not. Johnson said that made him explosive, dangerous, and ultimately likable to him, at least. A little bit of paraphrasing there. So he might actually be a bad guy, but because he doesn't really play by the rules, he's that like he could be on your side, but you might spend more time trying to stop him, perhaps.
A little bit more evil anti-hero type thing.
Yeah. Let's see here. I am going to find out what I'm looking for is if he's actually a bad guy or not.
Okay.
So,
because I've seen him in a couple of animated cartoons, and he was definitely a bad guy in there. But anytime you fight Superman, you're going to be a bad guy to me. So
right, because anytime I've seen him show up in like DC Universe Online stuff or whatever, he's always been aligned with like villains. So that's again, character I'm not super familiar with. So he's definitely. So I guess it'll just depend on how they want to portray him. Because if he's protecting his family, then he can go to any means necessary in his mind and be justified. So, which makes a good character. So, but yeah, I have no opinion. I am more likely to see this because of The Rock being in it.
Yeah.
Because I have little doubt that he will not entertain me throughout. Like, I'll probably be able to buy into his character.
So, what'd you think about? I mean, what grabbed you out of the all the 9 sneak peeks or whatever?
All the stuff. Reading through this thing on this site, Static Shock, possibly getting a film, is exciting to me.
Okay.
Did you ever watch the cartoon?
I didn't follow it for whatever reason. I don't know why. But,
cartoon wise, I thought he was a really cool character because it was just a kind of a regular dude, I guess, that got powers. So in the cartoon, I know there was a comic as well, but I just watched the cartoon on whatever day it came on, and I wasn't like super into it, but I thought it was cool, like where he'd develop new powers and stuff. So if you go into like an adult version of him where he's refined his powers and stuff, should be pretty cool. He had like the sidekick guy that I can't remember his name at all, that helped him out. I want to say Miles for some reason, but I don't think that's right at all. But like, that's interesting to me because I always thought that was a cool character. And then the Flash thing, I'm super uninterested in the Flash, which is the reverse, obviously.
Yes.
But and then seeing the new Batman or the Batman trailer, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that I like it or I don't like it, but it was attention grabbing for sure.
Sure.
He looks better in the Batman suit than I thought he would.
Okay.
I just don't know how you get past him being like a super powerful vampire as well as Batman.
Is that what you got from it, that he's a vampire?
No, that's just the joke because he was in Twilight. So I'm not an adult enough to not make that joke.
Oh, I totally did not get where you were going with that, but yes, I guess it does kind of fit. Yes.
I mean, there's also like the Harry Potter joke I could have gone with, but the Twilight one's better because it fits Batman, I think.
Yes.
And then, so the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. That's a video game, right?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't tell. Like at first, I didn't know if it was going to be a video game or like an animated something. But either way, I'm interested in that. We get Samoa Joe doing the voice of King Shark. Can't complain there. I don't know. Is there anything that has like your favorite thing that you've seen about?
What, for that video game?
No, just all the DC
Just
stuff that came out.
I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Other than Chris Pine being in there, because I don't understand why he's in there. Write him off. His character didn't point, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, as long as you are not Uncle Ben or Batman's parents, there's a pretty good chance you come back.
Sure. So anyway, I mean, that looks cool. The Suicide Squad movie. So I'll just say, so the first Suicide Squad, I was kind of worried when I saw that Will Smith was going to be Deadshot,
Right?
because I didn't think he could pull off the Deadshot character.
Yeah. Turned out.
Turned out he saved that movie from being a train wreck. So
yeah, he killed it.
I mean, him not being in this movie, I think it's going to hurt them.
You know what's going to work out good, though?
What?
Is you have Roland the Gunslinger, Idris Elba, in here as a Bloodsport.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just going to pretend that he's the gunslinger. Is how that's going to work.
Okay.
Because I'm just looking at all the people. Because you got, Margot Robbie's returning. They got some of those people, but you also have John Cena as Peacemaker, who is a character I've never heard of.
I have never heard of that character either.
I'm clicking on the link. To me, it looks like a poor man's Judge Dredd based on the art that comes up.
I was going to say the same thing too.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't think that I could be wrong. I mean, but I think Will Smith is what you really needed Will Smith in this movie. I think to keep the movie being relevant. Just my opinion.
Right. I mean, we'll find out, and it might be one of those things because I didn't see the. We probably won't be watching movies in theaters for a while, but I did not go out of my way to see Suicide Squad initially, and then I just watched it online, or who knows how I came across it, but I definitely didn't go out to see it, and then I watched it. It was it entertained me for an action movie, but that version of the Joker, not a fan of it.
Sure.
Like, there's just stuff in that movie where it's like, yeah, this isn't good. And, yeah, lo and behold, Will Smith's playing a character that it just didn't seem like would fit him.
Yes.
Made it work, and it was all right. I know it may not be, 100% comic faithful, but what they did with it worked well for the movie. So, maybe we will be surprised.
I had the previews for the movie. I mean, the only thing I saw during the teaser trailer was James Gunn, explosions, James Gunn, explosions, Margaret Robbie, explosions. Margot. So Margot, whatever her name is.
It matters.
It's just I'm like, okay. Usually, when you see this explosions in the teaser trailer, that means the movie's going to suck.
Does your mind immediately go, is this Michael Bay? There's not enough lens flares for him.
Yes. Maybe that's what it is. I just think of Michael Bay movies. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. They're like, we got Optimus Prime fighting something, but you're not going to be able to make out any of it because we borrowed the WWE's cameramen who just make every movement shaky.
Shaky cam. So,
goodness. What about... So... It feels like we've been, not us, but the world in general, Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max has been coming for 8 years now. Like, before the movie even started production, I feel like I was hearing about this mythical version of this movie that was so much better.
I feel sorry for fans because I think they really want a Justice League movie to be good. I don't think it's going to be good.
Unless they filmed a different movie at the same time. If it's using the majority of the Justice League movie, it's probably not going to be good.
I mean, I want a good Superman. I just don't think it's going to happen, guys. I mean, putting him in a black suit is not going to make this movie any better, I don't think. But I could be wrong.
What if he just had his mustache the whole time, too?
You know what? I don't... See, that's the other thing. So they didn't want him shaving the mustache. Just have him grow a beard because, I never understood that.
No idea. I've heard all kinds of stuff about that, but I have never cared enough to actually look into it.
Because, the black suit Superman, he had a beard. So, I mean, just go, whatever. So I have no faith in the Zack Snyder cut here. So that's just my opinion.
So it feels like, in all honesty, we're basically just not optimistic for hardly any of this DC stuff.
No. Because I have been burnt by DC a lot. So, I mean...
Is DC Comics Batman, the equivalent of getting called up from NXT to the main roster?
Yes.
Where there's like a 60% chance that disaster is going to strike?
Pretty much, yes. It just breaks my heart every time. But okay, that's one way to go with it. But
right. Well, sometimes it feels like they... there's a lot of parallels here to the wrestling world. Sometimes where they just do stuff to be different than what we expect as fans.
Yeah.
It's like, it's okay to do what we expect some of the time. There's a reason that we expect it. It's because it's what we want.
Yeah.
Like Superman being a happy-go-lucky good guy. It's all right for him to, smile. Maybe
sure.
once in a while. not compete with
Yeah.
Batman for most angst-filled.
There's a reason why we have a Batman. I mean, if I wanted a Batman, I don't get why they want to turn Superman into
If I
Batman.
wanted to be in a bad mood, I'd watch Batman or Buffy and feel depressed. Superman should make
Yes.
me happy.
So that's just my. Now I am. I don't think it's part of this DC fandom thing, but Man of Tomorrow was released, I guess, Friday.
Was
So
it?
I was trying to buy it last night on PlayStation, but I didn't want. I just wanted to rent it. I didn't want to buy it.
Right.
There was no option to rent it, so I could only buy it for like $22, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
really
you're
gonna
not
buy
committing
a
that
movie.
much to it.
Yeah, so
Yeah, on YouTube it shows up as $19.99.
yeah, I just want to rent it.
Yeah, like spend $5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did for that Age of Apocalypse when you were telling me about it. I was like, all right, maybe they're doing like the wait a month or so and you'll be able to rent it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm waiting for. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, well, it's animated, so it'll probably be good.
Yes. Anytime you have Lobo in a movie, it's also.
That's what you think until they put him in a live action movie, and you're like, oh, what'd they do to the main man?
Yeah. Well, I remember that Batista was in Smallville, and they never said he was Lobo, but they kind of hinted that he was Lobo, and that was that was a terrible.
Smallville. I'm genuinely sorry that you watched all of that show.
You know what? I am too.
However, you know what one of the coolest things in that whole thing was when they had Flash and they ran through the rain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where it was like raining, but because they're at hyper speed, like they made a path through the rain. I thought that was one of the coolest things ever from a visual effects look.
Sure.
Where it's like, oh, that would be kind of how it is.
Well, and the guy who played Superman, I read a comment that he said that he never bothered reading any of the comics because he didn't want to be influenced by the character. I'm like, what?
That hurts. Like,
Yeah.
what?
So,
Like, I
mean,
don't
if
want to look at any of this source material.
Well, I mean, the logic of that would be like if I was doing a movie, if I was going to be in a movie about you, let's just say,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to play Ross the way I see Ross in my own mind,
But without knowing, actually, it would be more like, all right, so I'm going to make a movie myself.
Yes.
The movie is going to be about my neighbor.
Oh,
Now, my neighbor has an autobiography that they wrote. Would you like to read that so that you can be like that? No, I'm going to interpret your neighbor that I've never met my own way. Like,
No, I think this would be better actually. If you was going to be in a movie about my dad,
right?
and you're like, all right, Saul, I got the role as your dad in this movie, and I'd be like, all right, well, Ross would come over and maybe compare notes. No, Saul, I think I have a pretty good picture of who your dad is in my mind.
Be like,
I'm
I
just gonna go with
saw
that.
a drawing of him. I wouldn't look at a real picture because I don't want to actually know what he looks like because I don't want to be influenced.
Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible.
Oh. So, is there anything else from the DC or the like TV, film, movies, any of that stuff you want to talk about, or do you want to move on?
Yeah, I can't really fit. I don't know anything else I watched over the weekend. Or the week.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't really have anything either. I'm not going to have much to contribute to video games either, truth be told. But it's been a very unproductive week. So
Ross just works, eats, and then sleeps.
I mean, that's not untrue. You want to move on to games?
Yeah, we can go to games.
All right. I'm going to hit the button.
Get over here!
Time's up. Let's do this.
All right. So I guess the big news would be like general video game world, but it pertains to us. streamers are starting to get like beta access to the New World. And I am on their website now where you get like the creepy red-eyed skeleton look. I assume it's part of armor or something or some kind of caster. But you were saying you had been watching some people stream it this week?
Yeah.
What are your opinions on it from what you've seen?
From what I've seen, it looks really awesome. It looks like everything we wanted Conan to be.
Well, that's very optimistic. Yeah, because I thought it had launched at first, and I was looking at it, and I was like, wait, it doesn't say anything about early access or any of this stuff. And then I was very disappointed. I did see, it made me laugh, where some of the people I follow on Twitter for gaming stuff, like, all right, I'm going to go hit some trees and rocks for like 5 hours if anybody wants to watch. I was like, oh, that's exactly like what I loved in Conan. It's just like farming random stuff, but it seems like this actually has better gameplay to go with it. I watched like 30 minutes of someone stream it, but they were running around. I don't know if they were trying to get to like some kind of world boss or it was a dungeon. Like, I couldn't tell the context of it.
Well,
have you seen anything on that?
So like Asmongold was playing it,
yeah,
and he got a group together to take down this world boss. Or maybe it might not even be a world boss. It might just be just a random elite character.
Yeah.
And so he got like, I don't know, like 10 people together to kill this bear, and it looked pretty cool. I mean, there's people had bows, people had like guns. There's magic casters in there. So I mean, it's everything that we wanted in a game. So I don't know. I have high hopes for it. But.
Can you tell? Is it more like action based or tab targeting? Like, because Warcraft is like tab target, where you just pick the enemy and then you hit them no matter what. Or is this more like the Diablo style, where you got to kind of aim at the bad guys? Or could you tell?
I couldn't really tell, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's tab targeting from what he was saying, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find some more in-depth stuff to watch this week. But from what you've said from seeing it, where it sounds like the kind of game we were wanting, but we were playing something that we were settling for almost at times.
Yes.
Let's see. I hope it's good. Now you can, if we know more than someone about this game, but I have a feeling that if you're into this style game or this game, you probably know about more than us. You can go to like the Amazon webpage and try to sign up for the beta. No idea your likelihood of getting into it. If you can get like 40,000 people who watch you play a game regularly, you can probably get beta pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, because at first I thought that they introduced it as a PvP type game.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of dialed that back a little bit.
Because they realized that that's an awful experience for people.
Well, yeah, I mean, because as soon as I read that it was PvP, I thought, well, I'm never going to play this game. I don't care how good it is. I'm not going to. I mean,
yeah, well, you're going to get, at some point, one group who their joy of the game is, in a sense, I mean, if it's a PvP game, then it's part of the game, but trying to ruin your experience. And
sure.
I'm not competitive enough to want to PvP in that style of game. So it wouldn't have been for me, but it seems like it's getting a little less like that. So
yeah, so I have high hopes for it. So
well, I mean, there's that, and Ash's Creation is the other one that's getting some, a little bit of press lately. So it'd be nice for an MMO, like an option of something other than Warcraft. Now, obviously, Final Fantasy exists, so there's a good chance if you're not playing Warcraft, you might be playing Final Fantasy. For us, I mean, we've both been playing. You've been playing WoW much longer than me, but that's the one I tend to go to since my preferred game had a horrible accident and changed into something very different than what it originally was. That would be Rift. If any, yeah.
Didn't Rift become like pay to win or something like that?
When I quit playing, they had just switched over to free to play. But at that point in time, I wouldn't have said that it was pay to win. Now, you could buy actual gear, but it was usually now this came a little bit later, but it was always a tier behind whatever current content was. So it was more you could pay to catch up. It is absolutely possible that they went down the route of pay to win at some point in time.
Sure.
All I know is that from keeping up with the forums for quite a while after I quit playing, though, it seemed like they just, because they used to have every class, like you had, basically your 4 classes like mage, warrior, rogue, cleric, had their own developer. And eventually, I think they got down to where they had like 1 or 2 developers working on everything. And you could tell that the balance was just totally off. And they tried to do, much like WoW Classic, which I think you're going to talk about here in a little bit, they tried to do this Rift Prime thing, where it was Rift as it initially launched. They did not, however, go back to the original balance of the classes, how they worked when the game first started. They just took what was ever on live and put it back in. And so it was just totally not how it was. It was like the most, I want to say half-assed. I don't know a better way to put it. Like, because I was excited. I was like, okay, I'll spend $15 to play this again. And I was like, what is this? This is awful. Because I really liked doing the dungeon and raiding as the mage healer was the chloromancer. You did damage to heal. And it wasn't good. Like, when I played it, sometimes it was the best, but it was always, like, valuable. It felt awful because it was what the current tuning was. And I was like, yep, I could have set this money on fire, and it would have been a better use than the, 4 hours that I played before I was like, no, this isn't right.
Gotcha.
So, whereas WoW Classic, they actually really did how the game was at that time, minus little things here and there. So you had said you've been playing WoW Classic?
Yeah, but before we go to WoW Classic, speaking of this really bugged me. Speaking of pay to win, so my wife plays this slot game on Facebook.
Yeah,
and I'll play it every now and then and get her her daily bonus because you get some money or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've been playing it, and I lost all of her money on the slots. Okay. So
now, is this game money or have you lost real money?
Well, so this is what I'm getting ready to get into. So I lost game money, and I was like, well, okay, maybe I'll just buy her some more money because there's an option to buy it.
Yeah.
It's one of those pay to win type thing. But I look at the prices, dude, and it ranges from $10 all the way up to $100 of real money. And I'm thinking, why in the world would I spend $100 on fake money when I could just go to a real slot machine and play there?
And when now, can you cash that out for real money?
No.
Yeah, then I have no idea.
I mean, I don't get it. I'm like, who would do this? Who would spend $100 of real money for fake currency in a slot game?
Yes, I would not do that.
One could argue that, well, that's what you do anyway with video games. You're just throwing your money down the drain. But it's like, I don't know.
Now, I feel like that's the extreme side of it, where that's the predatory microtransaction stuff.
Sure.
Whereas I'll use Brawl Stars as my example because I still play that. Well, I haven't played it for 2 weeks, so I don't have much to say about it. But you can buy gems to buy stuff in the game.
Okay.
Arguably, you can so when you're playing the characters, you level them up to a certain point, and they do get level 1 when you first get them versus a higher level. There's a point where they get more powerful, but it caps out.
Yeah.
So you could, when a new character comes out, you could spend enough money to guarantee getting that character and probably guarantee getting them max level to where you're going to have a little bit of an advantage for a while, but it's not a permanent thing. And I haven't spent a ton of money on that game, but I have all the characters right now. They get a special ability that you got to get randomly out of a box or whatever. It enhances the gameplay, where you get a stat bonus for doing something, or it changes the way one of your attacks work. So
Gotcha.
it's not like the character still plays fine without it, but some of them it's like, oh, that's definitely a power boost to have this. So if you spent an insane amount of money, you could guarantee that you would eventually get that. But I find that more on you're speeding things up, but you're still eventually going to get it. It's just how long is it going to take?
Sure.
Because if you started right now, like I started right when it launched in the US, so it's not unreasonable for me to have everything. If you were to start playing right now and didn't have anything, it would probably take forever to get everything, and it could definitely feel like, oh, this is very pay to win because these, how it works, but that's somewhere that's very different than what you're describing to me.
Yes. So I don't know. It just bugged me. So anyway, so I played some WoW Classic.
Yes. Was this due to the new stuff like AQ and all that?
No, just because I'm bored with retail. And,
Okay.
I was like, I'll jump onto some Classic here, and it made me a rogue on the Alliance side because So when I first started playing Classic, my buddy wanted to level a Horde character, and I was like, okay, whatever.
I just can't believe you agreed to that.
Well, and I did enjoy it. So I was like, maybe it's because I'm leveling a Horde character.
Yeah, because you're just wallowing in mud and spikes.
Yeah, so I did a human rogue, and I've been leveling. So it's taken me I think 5 days, and I only played like an hour session, so I haven't like power leveled yet or anything, and I'm level 12 now.
Right.
I killed.
Yes, on retail you would be at level cap by now.
Oh, I'm sure. So last night I killed Augur with the help of like 5 lobies. Stay with me. So yeah.
I hate the gnolls in that area due to the respawn, where you'll be moving away from something and all of a sudden one spawns on top of you.
Yes. And so I've been playing, like I said, for like 5 days now, and I have not gotten a bag drop at all. So I think I'm going to go to the auction house and buy me one because nothing has dropped from me.
What server
It's
are
terrible.
you on?
One of the highest populated. I don't know.
I'll check mine because I only got to like 40. I think I'm at 41. I was playing Classic a couple of weeks ago. I logged in on my mage for a little bit, and I was like, you know what I really want to do? I want to spam Frostbolt. I'm going to go play my mage and spam Frostbolt because that's basically what you do, and occasionally Frost Nova. And I have no idea where I am. I was trying to kill like ogres, and they only spawned in one area, so it was me and like 3 other people who refused to party up, trying to steal ogre kills from each other. Ugh.
Yes. It was funny because as I was leveling in Elwyn Forest there, I noticed the same thing. Like everyone's like in competition with killing stuff, and I kept on whispering to people, like, "Hey, if you know we partied up, we'd be sharing the same kills, right?" And then they reply back to me. So
Be like, this guy's such a weak person or something. He doesn't want to grind it the way it was intended. Well, no, the way it's intended is to group up massively multiplayer.
it's humans.
Because I'm all for the, like solo play in an MMO, that's fine. But when you're trying to complete a quest that you have to tag stuff, it's time to put your preferences aside and do what's right.
Well, it's like this is not retail, so we gotta work together here, people. So
Let's see.
that has been my experience of video games this week.
Trying to think. I played some battlegrounds.
Okay.
I'm just keeping afloat at like 6,000 MMR or whatever they call those points. I've played a lot more of the constructed than I have in the others, and I enjoy it, but I just don't sit down and play it a ton right now. So,
Sure.
I mean, I'm more concerned with trying to get a hold of Arby's currently. Man, I can't wait for it's actually going to be a beef and cheddar on a reg bun. So,
The problem is now you're gonna order like 5 beef and cheddars, and then you're gonna eat the first one. You're like, oh, I should have ordered like 5.
No, my plan is to order enough that I can have some later tonight and tomorrow when I wake up.
And then on Monday.
No, I'm not gonna go that hard yet. But no, it happened. Like I happened to eat one during the week. I was like, I forgot how good this metal cheese was. I need more of this, and I just haven't been able to get there.
And by the way, you did some fake news earlier. Movie theaters are happening right now, at least in our neck of the woods.
No, are they? I don't know.
They're playing old movies. I don't know why you would go to a theater other than have the experience.
Like, if you want to see Dances with Wolves.
Actually, I think Footloose and Lord of the Rings was advertised on them.
Yeah, I'm not going to the theater for either of those.
Footloose?
Yeah. I like that. That's the one that you're like, are you kidding me? Lord of the Rings just... I don't need to see that in the theater. If I'm going to watch it, I'd probably watch the extended version. But I don't have that much time to dedicate to it.
I don't have 9 days.
I don't need... Yeah, like it's an actual walking simulator where you follow them the entire... I know it's not exactly that, but it definitely seems that way. Do you got anything else for gaming stuff?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I was going to ask you, have you played or watched people play this Fall Guys game?
I have. I downloaded Fall Guys last night.
Have you played it?
I have not played it yet, though.
I kind of want to play it. It looks... I don't know if it will stay a popular game, but it looks like something that I could just, like, boot up and play every once in a while and have a good time.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's fun, so I will play it tonight, and I will let you know next week about it.
Well, I might. Did you get it on Steam, or where do you have it on?
Oh, buddy, I think the only Steam game I play is Conan Exiles. So.
Do you have it on a console?
PlayStation 4, yeah.
No, I don't have a PlayStation, so since they're not all about the cross-play. Well, if you play it, let me know, but I might just buy it anyway to try it. It reminds me of, remember MXC? It would come on before wrestling sometimes, like the Elimination Challenge.
Yes.
Some of those clips I see, it reminds me of some weird, crazy version of that. So,
gotcha.
Okay, well, that's funny to me that you have bought it, and I've been watching the hype, and now I'm hypnotized. So,
I did. I'm interested. You know, it's a wrestling game. That battleground.
Yeah, I want to know how. Like, I don't care. Look, I've seen people complain about the look of it, like the graphic style, I guess, or the like the artwork, basically.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I just want to know what the gameplay is like. Like, is it going to be like a Street Fighter combo style? Is it going to be closer to like a No Mercy or AKI style? Is it some new system that's awful?
Yeah, because wrestling games are all about movement, like the controls and everything. If it's crappy controls, it's not going to be very.
Now, I would, from the wrestling fan world of video games and people who just like the Def Jam games, if you take that style engine where it's fairly simple to play, but there's a real difference between being good at it and not being, like playing it and having fun versus being like super competitive.
Yeah.
I don't care what the art style is or the subject is. Like, give me decent controls that are fun. And I mean, I can throw John Cena into an alligator's mouth. What more is there to want? Now, my hope would be that they have a create a character. Because wrestling games, I feel like you have to have that. Because there's always going to be someone you want to be that you can't, but you can make them usually. So, but yeah, it's supposed to have like such a big roster overall.
Sure.
As long as they don't do some kind of weird microtransaction screw job stuff. Unless they have like these weird things that you have to buy, but it's just a picture of Bret Hart being sad. Implying the Montreal screw job. Like, they're just upfront about it. But yeah, because I just want a wrestling game that I enjoy to play. where I'm not going out of my way to try to download an emulator and a hack to no mercy. Or just playing like the AKI games on my Nintendo 64. The last couple 2K games I have not cared for. Fire Pro Wrestling, I do not care for the gameplay style. Although everything you can do with it is fun. What kills it for me is you can hit a finisher like straight away and get a 1 count. And that drives me nuts.
Sure.
So I just want something that I find enjoyable. Hopefully this game will come out, or AEW will get a game out or something. I don't care. Just give me something that I can play that I enjoy. That's all I want. Shikara Pro Wrestling game, you can get it on Steam. I don't know if it's on the consoles. It's not bad, but it's not enough. It's not enough of a game, I suppose.
It's missing that one piece that you need.
Yeah, I mean, that's not untrue. For sure. All right. So Fall Guys, sounds like you'll definitely have an opinion on it next week. I know we're super behind the times with Fall Guys. But I guess we're on like old people time, where it takes like a month before we see the hype, but we're like, I don't know, I've been burned so many times, I'm going to wait about a month.
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
Oh yeah.
All right, are you ready to move into wrestling?
Yeah, let's talk about some wrestling there.
All right, we're doing the abbreviated shoe sandwich bumper here, just to save us some time, a whole 30 seconds. But
why did Britt take her shoe off to eat that sandwich?
all right, so there we go. Short bumper. Let's go back in time a little bit.
Okay.
There's so much that happened. So I want to start with AE Dynamite from back on August 22nd. This was the Saturday night one.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to scroll through some of these results because I'm trying to remember everything that happened, and see what catches my eye. Because this one I feel like we can skip through a lot because it's so old at this point. There was Moxley had a promo about MJF that I thought was pretty good. You had MJF with his... He didn't quite have the decorated walker yet, I don't think, but he's got his neck brace, and they're doing the whole ban the paradigm shift thing. So, whatever. Let's see here. Matches that happened. We got more... I can guarantee you during the match with Luchasaurus, I was complaining about Luchasaurus, because for whatever reason I've just... the problems of the world are on him.
Yes.
Now, Pentagon has changed his name back to Penta L Zero.
Really?
So, I don't know exactly what is going on with that.
I wonder if Lucha Underground owned that name.
And they were just
Or it
like,
was
you can have it.
Or if it was under contract, or who, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
That's interesting, though.
I don't know. I've seen people talk about it. Well, read, where people were kind of talking about it, but it's not a big enough a deal to me. So something happened where he changed to Penta L0M now. But either way, Luchasaurus was probably the problem. I'm just gonna pile on him. Even if he wasn't in the match, he was at ringside. It's him or Marco.
Yes.
That's where the problem is.
The only thing I got out of this Dynamite was NWA partnership, or something happening with NWA and AEW.
It would see, at least with the women's title, which AEW is in desperate need for something to get them some storylines going.
Yes, they need something.
We did get the Eddie Kingston promo with Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Bros, which Eddie Kingston's pretty good on the mic, so...
That kind of fell flat for me. I don't know.
I was overly suspicious of it.
Yeah.
Because, you're probably more aware than me, but, being familiar with his history with Santana and Ortiz, and then he did, the big wink at the camera or whatever, it makes me just super suspicious. Something's going on. So...
sabotaging these guys?
Right, absolutely.
I don't know.
So, we're going to get the Mimosa Mayhem match. What's that?
say DCfandome.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yes, Mimosa Mayhem. I thought
No.
this was going to be a joke, and Orange Cassidy was going to, like, shoot it down, or they were going to do something. Like, Jericho was so over the top about it. But apparently it's really happening.
So here's the problem I have with this. And I assume that you're going to watch it with me when this pay-per-view happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, we could both be confused about this match. I like it, other than the fact that you don't have to throw the other person into the liquid to win.
It's just one of the, like, that being the only win condition, you mean?
Yeah, it should be like that should be the only win condition. But apparently you can do submission or pin. It's like, well, what's the sense of having it?
I mean, it just gives you an option. I think the fact that they're like, you're like orange juice, and I do like the champagne thing. We clearly need to do this. I don't even know what to think about this, because this could be the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and this could end up being like, wow, this was a really good match. If this match is fantastic, I will be surprised. If this match is terrible, I will be entertained by how bad it. That's my assumption. It's either going to be awful to where it's like, this is so bad it's almost good, or it's going to work out like beautifully, and you'll be like, I would have bet any amount of money that this would not work. So it'll be real interesting.
This whole feud, and I think it's more my problem than the actual matches. I've not been in this feud. I've not been invested. I don't know. I was expecting more of a ferocious Chris Jericho than a comedy act. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I like it, but I kind of wanted something different at this point, but I might be surprised. But congrats to them for trying something completely ridiculous, I guess. Unless it doesn't work, then sorry for those guys. But if it's awful, people will be like, oh, yeah, that was awful, and they can just move on. So,
well, the problem with AEW that I'm starting to have a problem with them is they're more jokey with their wrestling than any other wrestling federation. You know, where, like, for example, like ECW was more like extreme. Like, everyone was beating the crap out of each other with kendo sticks and everything.
Yeah.
It just seems like AEW's more on the jokey side.
Currently, they're definitely... They will lean into that more, for sure. It will have that with some Dark Order stuff coming up in a little bit here. Sure. Let me see here. So, Dark Order had a match. I don't think that really matters too much. I mean, yeah, it's whatever. Darby Allin against Will Hobbs. So we got Will Hobbs on Dynamite. Unfortunately, getting beat. Well, I did not expect him to beat Darby, but at least he got some offense in. Has a pretty nice spine buster. So, but we get.
I mean, you want to slowly introduce a character. I mean, I don't want Will Hobbs to be challenging Will Moxley or John Moxley right off the bat. You know, so.
Right? Yeah, let him get built up, but. Again, it's exciting to see someone that we've both decided we're wanting to see good things out of start moving up the ladder a little bit.
Hobbs.
What's that?
AEW listens to this podcast, Hobbs. You owe us.
Yeah. Be like, we want really not anything. Just do good. So we did get Ricky Starks coming up as Darby Allin and talking about liking turtles.
That was funny.
That was good because
made me laugh.
I was so confused when Taz was like, guess what? His name's Darby too. I was like, my brain was going through like independent wrestling. Trying to figure out, is there actually another Darby? What is this? And then I started, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I kind of felt dumb, but I was trying to think of a legitimate Darby that would happen. But yeah, so he comes out and basically just makes a mockery of Darby, and then Brian Cage beats the crap out of him, Darby that is, And then Starks did a coffin drop off the second rope, which Taz talked about was awesome because he doesn't need to go to the top rope for it or something weird somewhere I saw.
Sure.
Let's see. This is where go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was going to say the whole Taz faction. I don't know. Hasn't really. I don't know. Just hasn't molded for me. I just haven't got.
I liked it initially. Right now, it feels like they don't have a definite direction to go yet.
Yeah.
With everything, so it's just kind of in a holding pattern. But yeah, this is where we got the NWA Thunder Rosa appeared. Gonna have a match with Sheeta, and then they finished the women's Deadly Draw. So that was whatever. What do you think of Veta Scott on commentary?
I think she does a good job.
I like her commentary.
Yeah.
So I've heard it a couple times now, and I was like, it doesn't. It just seems like someone doing commentary. Like, it's not like this is awful, and she's not screaming just constantly. So.
Sure. Well, maybe they're waiting because who knows if Renee Moxley comes over to AEW. Maybe
she is officially unemployed, I guess. So.
Yeah,
I have to imagine she'll at least like show up for like one backstage thing or something, I would think, or on like a BTE skit or something. It seems like there's no way she couldn't show up at least one time, even if she ends up doing something else.
I wonder if she has because I mean, obviously she was actually an employee that wasn't under contract, I guess, because she just gave her 2-week notice. But I guess she has to have some kind of 90-day clause. Or something.
I would assume she had a talent contract. And I think she worked out the contract. So if you finish your contract and the contract ends, there's not a no compete. Like that's how Moxley or Ambrose, whatever you want to say, like he wasn't released, his contract ended, so he could have done something like the next day.
Gotcha.
Whereas if you get released early from your contract, like when they did like the releases around like the beginning of the COVID thing, like some of those releases had like a 90-day no compete. But you were getting paid during that time. Whereas if your contract outright ends, then your contract's just over.
Now, I can't see her making that big of an impact like Moxley did.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she comes in like Goldberg and spears Sheeta. Who knows?
And Thunder Rosa and just takes him out and displays the super kick that she's talked about.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. So the big thing from this show is Cody against Mr. Brody Lee. And this is not what we had talked last week, I think, where we were saying Mr. Brody and Dark Order specifically really needed to win this one, we felt. Short of something really crazy happening after, it seemed like this was their make or break moment. And apparently AEW as a whole felt the exact same way as us, because Mr. Brody just obliterated Cody for the match.
Well, I like what you said. The only thing that was missing is that Dark Order needed a dog to take out Pharaoh, because the entire Nightmare
it would
Collective
specifically be a dachshund, the Dark Order dachshund.
Because the entire Nightmare family was taken out by the Dark Order. So.
Well, so now you have questioned, and I agree with it as well, though, where Anna Jay joined the Dark Order and didn't really do anything, but having her be the one to because when Brandy came out and was trying to shield Cody, I was like, oh man, I was like, wait a minute, they have Anna Jay. And then all of a sudden she's standing there and chokes out Brandy. Do you think that gives her a little bit of a, I guess you could call it like a shine or something, where it's like, okay, that's better.
Yeah.
Like, was that where, now, does that to you make up, because you were like, it was a pretty lackluster reveal that she was part of the Dark Order, but she has like the little sinister smirk, and then she does that. Does that make up for it to you?
Yeah, I think so. Well, at first I was like, well, Brandy's getting involved. They do have a woman in the Dark Order. Are they going to use? And as soon as I thought that, Anna Jay came out. I was like, okay, good job.
Yeah, it was weird. 'Cause, like, I totally didn't see her until that. So it sounds like you had the same thing, where all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But yeah, they beat up Arn, they sent some goons to the back to grab QT and Dustin. And then, but yeah, so the match itself was like 4 minutes, I think. And they did play up that, Cody's been pretty beat up from the challenge he's been doing, but that's fair. But Mr. Brody still obliterated him. What do you think about those power bombs?
Like them. I like them.
I like Mr. Brody's discus clothesline, but man, those he could just use the power bomb and I'd be happy.
Sure.
But yeah, he power bombed him twice. I thought on the second one there was going to be some kind of, like, I was still waiting for it to turn around where Cody ends up winning somehow.
Yeah.
And then just be super mad at the whole thing. But that did not happen at all.
Like, I think you said this to me in a text. You were shocked that Cody didn't bleed during this entire thing.
Yeah, because the aftermath. It is a absolute shock that there was no blood from Cody. I don't know what was going on that didn't happen. But
if I was there, I would have been like, "Really, no blood? Really? Okay."
Just you'd be like the Travolta meme where he's standing there looking around.
Yeah.
So Dark Order totally triumphed it, but if that wasn't enough, like they beat, Cody's on the stretcher and they pull him back after beating up Arn and everything. So Mr. Brody had the original version of the TNT belt and talked about giving it back to Cody. And all of a sudden, Cody gets hit in the head by a bag, which we assume contains the belt. And then he dumps the belt out on Cody at the very end of this thing. Now, I saw people complaining that, well, I don't think that's dumb. You couldn't hit somebody so hard that it would shatter a belt like that. Now, I just took that as they had cut the belt up into scrap and put it in a bag, and then he hit Cody with it. Like, did it occur to you that he had exploded the belt on Cody's head inside a bag?
This just goes to show you, some people think differently than others. I did not think that at all. I thought that they cut the back, they destroyed it beforehand, and then just threw it in a bag. I didn't think that the sheer power of Mr. Brody's swing there broke the belt. I didn't think.
Yeah, which, I mean, if you're going like DC Comics or Marvel Comics, then yes, that absolutely would happen, but it would just be like the belt like normal. But yeah, so big deal for them. Following this, they had their celebration on being the Dark Order. I mean, being the Elite. Thing might as well be being the Dark Order now, to me.
Sure.
Where they did their little celebration thing. So, if you're watching AEW and you don't watch being the Elite, I feel like you're missing out. Because there are little things that they progress on being the Elite that you're rewarded for watching basically on actual Dynamite. You don't need to, but like the Dark Order stuff, it's not mandatory, but it is nice to know that if you watch additional content, you'll occasionally get something that maybe someone else doesn't.
Some of the stuff is not canon. Now, like the whole backstory of the librarian and Brandon Cutler not winning, I think kind of started in being the Elite. So, I mean, you get a little extra snippets.
Right. Or you can see, like, groundwork being laid, because they laid, like, we're still, so I won't get ahead of myself. So they got a Chili sponsorship, which hasn't really come up too much on Dynamite yet, but the Elite were going to get this, but Matt Jackson decided to blade himself to get out of the responsibility of trying to get a Chili sponsorship for singing the song. Yeah. And the Dark Order got it. So they all got $1 million. And
now they didn't mention that on Dynamite.
Right. That's why I say, like, this is one of those cases you're rewarded. Because during it, so they go around and like people are talking about what they did with their $1 million, because this is part of Mr. Brody's celebration, so he wanted everyone to share something. When it gets to Mr. Brody, because Hangman Page had tweeted about wanting to buy a new lawnmower, he also mentioned on the one being the Elite that he was going to use that money for the Chili's deal to buy a new lawnmower. But it gets to Mr. Brody, and he explains that on his property there is no grass at all. He just has asphalt and gravel. Nothing. Yes. But he took his money and went and bought 6 of the finest lawn mowing machines that money could buy. Because screw Adam Page. That is not the exact wording he used. But basically he bought 6 brand new lawnmowers because he hates Adam Page now. And then when we get to the next Dynamite where they're having their celebration, they have lined up the 6 lawnmowers in the arena, which is ridiculous.
And if you didn't watch Beat the Elite, and you'd be like, why are there lawnmowers out
Yes.
here? I don't know.
But to me, this is one of the things where I see where people have, like, Dark Order is kind of all over the place. But that, to me, was one of the most hilarious things ever. And I just view the Dark Order, like we talk about it all the time, where people have said it, where they're incompetent, bungling 80s cartoon villains, but Mr. Brody is competent. And Stu is basically competent. But for them to be like, we bought, like, just bringing that up, where there is a long-term feud building between Mr. Brody and Hangman Page, and part of it is going to be a lawnmower.
Yeah, I mean, basically Dark Order is Cobra.
Pretty much.
I mean, they're just a bunch of goofs. So,
yeah. But yeah, so with but when they came out for the celebration, so I found out that this song has no copyright or free copyright.
Okay.
Hold on a second here. We'll get it going. But when they come out on stage with the casket, with the coffin dance, that's what's playing right now. Yeah, apparently people immediately, within like minutes, had taken that clip and spliced it together with the coffin dance music in the background.
Gotcha.
Which is to be expected. But yeah, so Dark Order is going to end up having like a feud, it looks like, with the rest of the Nightmare family, and Cody is out indefinitely.
Yeah.
Supposedly probably doing some work with Stephen Amell from Arrow.
I assume what we're going to get out of this feud is going to be Scorpio Sky is going to come out with the championship
at some point. Now, do you think it's going to be him, or do you think they're going to hold off for Brody and Page? Because in this week's Dynamite, something's going on with Page, for sure.
Yeah, see, I just don't think Page fits in the storyline. I mean, other than the lawnmowers and
right.
Brody.
Well, him and Mr. Brody are eventually going to have a feud somewhere down the line, for sure. But they've just laid a little bit of interaction between the two, and it's just going to wait till the time is right, you think?
With AEW storytelling, dude, I mean,
it could be 6 years from now we finally get it.
They may not feud until next July. So, I mean, who knows?
Right. So let me see. So for this week's show, so we already kind of went over the Dark Order stuff. We got Jericho back on commentary, being ridiculous. What do you think of this whole gauntlet match, where the end result is FTR wins, but Hangman cost the Bucks the victory in the well, most likely cost them the victory in the second match.
So let me just say this: as I was watching this gauntlet match, I had like flashbacks of the entire week of working at our shop, and how hot and sweaty I was.
Yes.
And looking at the Bucks, and well, I mean, everybody came out. You could tell it was very hot and steamy there.
Yes.
So,
well, this did lead to our brief conversation where I was like, can you imagine after all these months of wrestling in what was I called it? Swamp wrestling?
Swamp wrestling, yes.
That when they actually get to go to buildings that have air conditioning, how insane people are going to be. They're like, this is awesome. I've been wrestling for like 10 minutes and I don't want to die.
Sure. So, I mean,
it's like the hyperbolic time chamber, like Dragon Ball Z style.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Young Bucks, and just you could tell they were miserable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I felt their pain.
Well, yeah. So, but yeah, so like Hangman comes out, they're getting ready to go for the Meltzer driver, and he just grabs Nick by the leg, and you can tell he looks like facially he's conflicted, but he 100% cost the Bucks that match at that moment in time, you would have to assume.
Sure.
Now, do you think that was more so to progress that story, or was it more to make sure that the Bucks and FTR haven't touched yet? Or just it worked out perfect for the situation to take care of both things?
I think it worked out perfect, to be honest with you, because I think that's going to be the calluses. What's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be the prelude to. Yes, the prelude of when he turns or whatever happens.
Right. Well, because at the moment we can. It is possible because FTR was talking to Adam Page about them having to fight the Bucks again if the Bucks won. There's the potential that Kenny might have talked to Page about it and didn't want to because Kenny's been acting kind of weird. And at the end of that Revolution match between the Bucks and Hangman and Kenny, it looked like everybody was about to turn on everybody at one point.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just picking up where that was gonna go since they're starting to be able to have like very limited crowds. They're like, all right, finally we can kind of move this along because we want a little bit of a reaction. But yeah, I could have seen where if Hangman wouldn't have been involved, the Bucks would have lost to FTR, but it would have been because they were so beat up it wasn't really a fair fight. But I do like them not having a match at all, like putting that off for a while because that's a big match.
Yeah, it's going to be a big match when it happens.
So, now, do you assume that FTR is going to win the titles?
Or like this next Saturday or whatever it is? Yes.
Yeah, on the 5th.
Yep.
The pay-per-view. I would think so because I assume something's going to happen between either Page and Omega or the Bucks are going to call like something is going to something's going to blow up, I would assume.
Yeah, because I always thought like Hangman was going to turn on him. I think now it's going to be Kenny Omega turning on them, or the Elite's going to turn on them, or something. I think Hangman's going to be the poor guy with no support.
Yeah, because so towards the end of the show, the Bucks come and talk to Hangman and officially kick him out of the Elite, and they do the thing where it's like the door breaks and it's him looking at a broken mirror kind of thing, which is it's a little bit cheesy, but it does fit the story that they're telling. But it's interesting to me because the Hangman, like his character, is a very conflicted, kind of self-conscious character, to where what he did should be an absolute heel turn, but. Mm-hmm. I'm more left like, I wonder what's really going on that made him do that. Like, that almost makes him more sympathetic in a way to me, where he's just got some problems going on and doesn't know how to deal with it. Like, as opposed to, he's an evil bad guy.
Well, he's a sympathetic bad guy.
Right. Well, and you could tell he seemed conflicted. Like, he conveyed being conflicted.
Yeah, like Thanos was a bad guy, but you saw his reasoning.
Right.
It was psychotic, but you got it. So
so that'll be real interesting. But yeah, we could end up where Kenny's the bad guy and then Cody's gone, and then the Bucks have a very shaky relationship with Page. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I expect something to happen. Like, it seems like it would have to. Or Sean Spears interferes and they build their group with Tully now. Or, I don't know, maybe they have somebody else who shows up that's part of it and, we get our Horseman type group out of the whole thing. But I don't know.
I mean, they have me interested. I'll just say that.
Right. So we got Darby jumping off of a bridge. Take that, Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
The only thing I can say is it's just another Darby Allin video that I'm saying.
Yeah, he's a weirdo art people, I'm telling you. Did you by any chance, speaking of Ricky Starks, do you ever watch Sammy's vlog?
No.
Okay. If you want to see something fairly entertaining, there's been like an ongoing thing with that, but Ricky Starks is angry with Sammy. And in the Tuesday version of Sammy's vlog, Ricky Starks cuts a crazy promo on Sammy, and watching, I was like, I think he's going to kill Sammy for real. Like, it's a very good promo. I want to say it was about 5 minutes into it, but you could kind of do like the thing where you look for where Ricky Starks shows up screaming at Sammy. Like at one point, he gives him a Bible, and he's like, "You better start reading this because you're gonna need it." Like it's just completely ridiculous, but it is super intense. So, all right, so we get some Lance Archer in action here. The end of this was just a mess, is what it felt like to me. Where Taz, Team Taz comes out, and it was like nobody wanted to let the other talk.
Yeah, pretty much. And then like I'm thinking, you don't want these two fighting each other because both of them need wins.
Right. So, now I guess if they're in the casino battle royal, then it's okay for them to, yeah. But yeah, you don't want them to have a one-on-one match anytime soon. I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't book that, no. So
now, if you want to tease that to build up to it, kind of like they've done with Wardlow and Luchasaurus at one point and stuff like that, then that's fine. Get it in our minds that it's something we want to see. But yeah, I would hope that they wouldn't fight each other straight away, because whoever loses that is going to be in a bad way. It feels like. Currently,
yeah, I would assume.
That needs some time. Well, let me see here. So we get more hype for Thunder Rosa against Sheeta. Mm-hmm. I really don't know what to expect out of this. I kind of think Thunder Rosa might win the title.
I think that's where they'll go with it, and I think they should. To be honest with you.
You know what they can do?
What?
They can unify the belts, get rid of the AEW Women's title, and just use the NWA's title, because the little portrait of whoever's the champion is a brilliant idea.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And it looks a lot better than the AEW Women's tiny, tiny belt. Is this a championship belt for ants?
I think it makes a lot of sense for NWA to win this.
It would give them a little bit of hype. It's going to give AEW some hype, because obviously then you have a deal between two companies.
It's going to be a good talking.
We might get to see Aldis with the NWA World title, which is a pretty good looking belt too.
Sure.
So we will see, but hopefully that's the beginning of something, because I like the idea of companies working together personally. Yeah. Okay, so we got the Moxley and MJF contract signing. So
yeah.
Would you the end result is basically Moxley got one over on him and is going to get his hands on MJF's lawyer, one way or the other. It's a contract signing. It's hard to do too much different with him.
He's going to be up the lawyer. Do I care if he beats up the lawyer? Not really. Is it going to be fun to watch? Sure.
Right.
I don't know.
It makes me think more and more, though, MJF's winning the match, because Moxley's constantly getting over on him. And then, so we got that. Santana and Ortiz are really good when they talk.
Sure.
I don't have much more to say to that.
Awesome.
What's that?
I said they're awesome. And the fact that they're feuding against the best friends makes them even better.
Yeah, because you have no confliction in who to root for. You know that best friends need to win.
I would have rooted for Santana and Ortiz regardless, but that they're fighting the best friends, I'm rooting for them even more. Yes.
I wish that I was a super best friends fan, just so we would have a rivalry. But yeah, I want Santana and Ortiz to win too. So, let's see. We get more Lucha Bros and Butcher and Blade with Eddie. We got Joey and Sonny Kiss, Brian Pillman, and Fake Jungle Boy. I did not watch this match. I'm going to be honest. This was coming out, and it was basically time to take a nap.
Well, I was like, okay, surely the Eddie Kingston faction here is going to win, because I can't see them losing to these jobbers. But,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's basically our end result there.
Sure.
So this is, and we already talked about Mr. Brody's celebration, I guess, and then we get the Bucks thing we already talked about, where we carried through that, and we finish out the night with the Matt Hardy Sammy table match. Well, mostly that was the last thing. What do you think of this match?
Before that, what'd you think about that Big Swole match?
Oh, I was skipping that because I don't understand the point. Like,
so
it felt like they're like, we
right?
need to have you guys on TV to set this match up. So go out there and do something, or not, whatever.
So this wasn't me then. It was bad, right? It was. I didn't. I'm like, this is not even fun to watch.
I was like, man, that wasn't exactly good. And then when I read what people thought online,
I
was like, man, I didn't think it was good, but I mean, I didn't like try to travel back in time to erase these people from existence, so it never happened. Like, I just thought it just didn't work.
No, it did not. It looked bad. So I was kind of let down because I was like, well, you kind of took Britt Baker and Big Swole down a notch.
Yeah, it's going to make it a little bit harder for them. Now, they might get something this coming week and fix it. But yeah, just something, I don't know. It's one of those, you're watching it and you're like, something not going the way it's supposed to, or whatever that was intended to come across did not. Or it was just a bad.
We'll just say because they were wrestling in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it was just so humid that.
Well, it could be that everyone involved just had a bad night, which is going to happen eventually.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it happened on Dynamite, so everybody gets to be super critical of it. I mean, I see it on WWE too. It happens there where you're like, wow, what those guys just did, that hurt. Or, I'm going to bring this up again because I'll never get it out of my mind, Jake the Snake against Sting in a coal miner's glove on a pole match. Who would have thought that those two would have had one of the most awful things I've ever seen in my life?
But on the plus side, I guess Dark Order got another female, Tay.
Yeah, and his partner from the thing. So that'll be interesting. It seems like Dark Order is now getting
NWO status.
Is getting they're getting quality members though, and then they have like a jobber squad too. So, and they're not like coming out taking over the show yet. So, I don't think they're going to be NWO-ish, but okay. So table match with Sammy and Hardy. It kind of is what it's funny. We were talking about this. It's about what I expected out of the match, but that's fine. Like, I liked it for what it was.
Sure.
They didn't rewrite the table. Like, no one's going to be like, if you do a table match, this is the one to follow. Like,
the only thing I didn't understand about the match was Matt Hardy putting the chair underneath the table, because I was like, that's going to hurt if you land on that.
That gave me anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I understand, like, if you hit the chair at the right angle, it doesn't really matter too much. It's still not going to feel good. But if you hit it just wrong, that's going to be super bad news. Kevin Owens has done this thing, and I think he did it when he was Steen as well, where he makes this bizarre pyramid out of chairs, and then he usually is the one who ends up taking it. But every time I see certain things with like the way chairs are arranged, it makes me nervous, because in some cases, you got like 6 inches of room for error, and someone's getting hurt real bad if it goes wrong, and I don't like to see that.
You could tell we're getting old.
Yes.
Like, that's gonna hurt your body, young fella.
Be like, well, it's like we're fine with the superplex through a table, but when you put the chair under it, that's where. Now the reality is the table breaks your fall, so it's probably an easy. If the table breaks, that is. If the table doesn't break, like you've seen the on WWE, I assume, like where they try to go through the announcer's table and it doesn't break, but you can tell it was supposed to, because both people
Yeah.
just look like, oh man, that hurt so much.
Sure.
But yeah, so Sammy gets the win here. I assume there's going to be a little more between these. But yeah, I assume that Hardy is just doing everything he can to bump Sammy up a notch, is what it feels like. Which is fine. Weird. I root against Sammy, but as a human being, he seems
Nice guy.
seems like it. I mean, he's taken responsibility for things in the past and seems to try to be a pretty good guy. So, could obviously be wrong because we don't know these people. He could be going around like punting people's dogs.
Well, yeah, and I think that goes without saying. Anytime we talk about anybody on this show, we're just talking about their characters. I don't know these people in real life. So.
Right. Or the people who like are kind of out there. It's like, oh, I haven't seen anything terrible from them. Like, obviously, we're not going to talk about Jimmy Havoc and be like, well, I heard he was a really good guy, because there's some pretty bad allegations about the guy.
Sure.
Cassidy comes out and beats up Jericho.
Yes.
Mimosa Mayhem, I just don't know. So I have a couple questions for you, because you're you would consider yourself a Keith Lee fan, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel? This is going to be loaded. And I've had weeks to think about this, basically, and read, and other people's opinions have swayed me. But so Keith Lee wins both titles. He has the North American title and the NXT Championship title. And then he decides that he's going to give up one of those titles. And then a week or so later, he has his first title defense of the Heavyweight Championship and loses it. And then he has no titles, and now he's on Raw.
Yeah.
That seems awful.
Okay. Yeah.
You're like, you did not plan this out very well, because you gave up a belt, now you have nothing, but now you're on Raw, and they're messing up. Your music isn't quite right. But
So I remember, so I will use this as an example. I remember working somewhere, and I had two bosses. And like one boss would tell me to do something, that I would do it, and the next boss would be like, "Oh no, don't do that. Go over and do this." Okay. So I think this is just an example of Triple H trying to plan his characters out in NXT. Because it seems like Triple H has like kind of complete authority in NXT.
right.
And I think Mr. McMahon's kind of like, okay, this Keith Lee guy, let's bring him up. And Triple H is probably like, yeah, no.
They're like, I just put a belt on this dude.
Yes.
Or
I just think.
go ahead.
No, I just think it's just Vince McMahon just trying to take out some Triple H's play toys in NXT and put it on Raw, and then McMahon not knowing how to use it.
Right, and then that's why you have what feels like an abysmal success rate of NXT follow-up, kind of.
Yeah.
Now, I heard one, and when I say heard, it's almost always means I've read. But it's a theory that feels almost accurate, is they kind of... I don't agree with the term, but I'm going to use it because it fits. Like, they hot-shotted him for the double title match to try to counter AEW, which may or may not be true, but basically they were trying to build Keith Lee's resume so they could say he is a former NXT heavyweight champion when they moved him to Raw to try to make him feel like a bigger deal. Because they're not going to mention that he never successfully defended it. They're just going to call him a former NXT champion.
Sure.
Do you think there's any likelihood of that? Or it was really just Vince decided it was time for Keith Lee to come up, and that is what it is?
I think it's the second one. Vince McMahon's just like, remember that Keith Lee guy?
You're like, he's a big guy. I like him.
Let's put him in a dress. Change his music. I like
it.
What?
Do you think that the Keith Lee dancing gimmick clock has already started?
Oh, it's It's going to happen. He'll be out dancing here pretty soon. Yeah.
I hope not. I hope that they do him right. But I've been kicked down the stairs too many times. I just can't trust him.
Yeah, Vince McMahon is how he treats WWE is kind of like how DC treats my favorite characters.
Right. Where you're just sad. Now, what about so you've seen more of the Thunderdome at this point. I've grown to like it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Again, they're trying something, so good on them. Would you agree that it seemed like they had a little more? Supposedly, they have people like trying to producers trying to tell the people on the screen to give a thumbs up or thumbs down, make some kind of movement, do something, whatever it is. They're like, hey, when this guy comes out, can you give a thumbs up? Maybe thumbs down this guy. If you want, go ahead and put a video of someone beheading somebody and a clan member on the screen. Oh, wait, they probably weren't instructed to do that, but people are jerks.
Idiots. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't get that. I saw, because I was looking at some of the people on the video screen.
Yeah.
This one guy was like laying on a bed.
Yeah, I saw that guy. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He looked like he was so disinterested in the whole product.
Well, someone had Kenny Omega's face up this week because he tweeted out.
Omega.
Huh?
He said that was him.
I didn't know if he was just making the joke or if it really was him. Like if he was just like playing along with it or not. Oh,
I don't know.
I hope it was, because who would people would make a big deal out of it, but that'd be a cool thing to experience from a fan side. That's something different.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been joking, but he tweeted out. He's like, I didn't think anybody would notice.
Right. That's why I took that to be him just playing along with the joke. But it would be even better to find out it really was him. But yeah, so people are. I assume that this will get squashed. But yeah, people were trying to do some pretty inappropriate things or just not nice things. I get being I'm pretty critical of the WWE. However, there is a difference between going out of your way to sign up for this event where they're trying to do something new to try to make the on-screen presentation a little bit better for everybody, and you're just trying to sabotage it. Come on. That is a lot of effort, it feels like to me, for what's your end game? Haha, I got them fined by the FCC or something?
The only thing I can say, Ross, are you new to the human race? I mean,
right. Yeah.
People do stuff. I'm just like, why would you do that?
Well, it'd be one thing if it was someone put up an AEW sign or something like that. That'd probably be you probably shouldn't do that, but haha. But when someone's trying to put up a literal snuff film, basically, from Live Leaks or something.
Yeah.
Come on. That's no good.
We
can be better than that.
You would like to think so,
but maybe not. So did you catch? We'll try to wrap this up here pretty quick, but I feel like this needs to be talked about some. So Roman showed up at SummerSlam. Roman Reigns, that is. And people were like, "Oh, he's a bad guy now," but I wasn't sure because he basically just speared Braun and the Fiend, and looks massive. He also
he speared two bad guys. So I mean, what makes him a bad guy? Because he speared two bad guys.
Right. That I don't know. Him and Matt Hardy apparently go to the same dentist because he got super teeth. But on SmackDown last night, at the end, he's talking about getting the belt back that he never lost, but he's hanging out with Paul Heyman.
Okay.
So, but still, to me, that doesn't mean he's a bad guy. He's just got Paul Heyman hanging out with him. Because basically he's talking to, they have a pay-per-view tomorrow, even though they had one a week ago, Payback, where we're going to get to see Roman in a triple threat match or whatever. So I guess we'll find out his alignment a little bit better during that. But
I don't understand why Paul why Paul's there. I don't get it.
Well, they've teased a couple times of Heyman being a big, like, really liking Reigns, and he's put him over a couple times when he fought Brock, is like saying that Roman is a legitimate competitor to Lesnar. So there's a little bit of ground there, but I'm just curious. Like, I would be interested in heel Roman because that's what people have wanted, and they've been reluctant to give it for whatever reason. So I guess we'll see. But
so, what do you think about him? The rumors of him being leader of what of it?
Retribution.
Retribution. Yeah. What do you think him being the leader of that?
Please no. Roman doesn't need. Roman doesn't need that.
Well, if he's a heel, then, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes with it.
He doesn't need a heel stable. If he's a heel, so if he's a bad guy though, then him and Rollins can be friends, and that's 2/3 of the Shield, so that's pretty strong.
Sure,
but yeah, Roman, like, from a story standpoint of them trying to have him be like the super good guy or whatever, I did not care for it. But I mean, his matches aren't bad. Like, because you're rooting against him or you're rooting for him, like, his matches are interesting to watch, to see what's going to happen, I guess you could say. He absolutely does not need to be the leader of a faction for him to be relevant. I'm 100% more likely to watch Payback to find out what's going on with him. I don't care about Retribution at this point, breaking out a window and going, woohoo, we did it.
Yeah, that group they can just get rid of. I don't care anything about that group at all. Roman.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, with Roman though, I think you need him to be a good guy. They have way too many heels in WWE right
now. Big E is getting a singles run. Big E could be that dude. He'll have to a little bit of change where he's a little bit more serious here and there. But Big E can talk. He's a big dude. He's not a bad wrestler. I'm not a fan of his finisher, but you know, that
you have Big E, Otis. Who else do you have?
You got your boy, Bro.
So you have Big E and you have Otis. Who else? I mean, I don't know.
I love how much you dislike. What if he showed up on AEW somehow, hanging out with the Best Friends? Would that be the most hated stable or group that you could think of?
Yeah. Yes, it would.
All right. Yeah, I mean, time to build someone up to be like a big deal. Now, if you have Roman as the bad guy, though, who's like the evil dictator with Heyman talking for him, you can basically flesh out somebody as the face to finally take him out. And, like, you know, you can be building someone, because he can definitely, with Heyman, he could definitely carry enough segments on the show, and then you're wanting to see somebody beat him. Or what will actually happen is people will finally start cheering Roman unanimously, and then you just direct him at bad guys instead of good guys. If he's, you know, pretty simple, I would think.
See, I forget that WWE does that stupid SmackDown Raw being separate entities. So
yes.
So I guess he could be a SmackDown villain. So
right. No, but you bring up a good point. Like, you are definitely heel heavy at that point. Yeah. With that, so well, we are pretty long, which we expected to be with the amount of stuff that was going on. 47 wrestling shows a day to talk about. We've been basically Thunderdome has made us watch more WWE and NXT, so there's a little more to talk about as a result of that. So, and I will be honest, like, WWE has done lately a few things, like the Roman thing is interesting to me. There's a few things here and there that's a little more interesting. Storyline wise is pretty good, which I always say I would like to want to watch WWE stuff, but sometimes I just don't care. But they're slowly getting a few things here and there where it's like, you know what? I'm going to watch until I see the stuff that I'm looking for, and I'll probably not pay attention to the rest, but it's better than me being like, I want nothing to do with this. So,
Sure.
congratulations to WWE for having a few things that I care about again.
What a prize.
I don't know if they can get me to care about 47 hours a week of programming, because that's what they produce, it feels like. But
Sure.
it's a start. So,
Yep.
all
On
right.
that note,
We
should
will.
just wrap this.
Yes, we are going to end. I'm going to hit a button. Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Get on that. Have a good week.